In today's video, we're looking at the secret elite statuses of the big three US airlines. These are secret insofar that they don't share the official requirements, but the perks and benefits of the status though are very much shared and documented. One big thing to note is that the requirements do and can change every year, so for example when travel slows, it's going to be easier to qualify. When more people are flying though and spending more, then it's tougher. Another way to think of it is that you're trying to be the top 0.01% of travelers for the airline. Big favorite before we dive into everything is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. Starting off, let's look at American Airlines. This is probably the least secret one of the bunch. So much so that it was featured in a relatively big movie with main actors like George Clooney and Anna Kendrick. In one of the earlier scenes, the characters have a wallet measuring contest with all their cards, so we're not crazy. She then gets very impressed with the fact that he has Concierge Key since she didn't know it existed. Okay, so what is the status and where does it sit? The standard program goes up to 200K for executive platinum status. It does get a bit complicated depending on how you mix and match stuff, but one way to think of it is you could spend your way there with credit cards, and that's 200K on their cards. Another option is about 18K to 40K on their flights. So money spent on American Airlines flights in a year. Concierge Key is their invite-only status for super VIPs. There's no set number, but data points that you see on Reddit and Flyer Talk for 2024 are in the 40K to 70K range on flights with American Airlines, with your market being the key driver. They also apparently like to see premium cabins, since that's more profitable for them. Credit card spend is interesting, so a lot of people feel like it doesn't matter here, and that they're mostly focused on flights. There does seem to be some edge cases where it might matter, but that's generally 1 mil to 2 mil spent on a year on their cards. So it can happen, but a lot less reliable. For 2025, requirements seemingly have edged up to 60K to 80K, which matches the broad travel trends. All of this is the first persona of travelers. Another persona that they've had, at least in the past, is influencers and high-value partners. The rationale being that it's cheaper to comp status and maybe get some features rather than spending 30K or 40K for a 60-second sponsorship. So apparently Casey Neistat did have this comped for a year. He did get angry after it was cancelled, so there was kind of a bit more drama there, but he also had executive platinum in the past, so it wasn't like they gave it to him from zero. I'm not sure if they're even still doing this, but even if they are, you're not starting at zero, you're probably a frequent flyer. For example, he was probably still spending 20 to 40K per year on their flights, but not the 70 to 80K that you probably need for New York. The third bucket is corporate decision makers. Think travel managers and others who manage millions in travel spend. For example, the person at Apple that's in charge of negotiating and committing to 50 business class flights a day from SFO to Shanghai. With that said, what perks do you actually get? Looking at the core ones, you get everything from EXP, and for things like upgrades and rebooking, you're on the top of the list ahead of all the other statuses. You can also use flagship first check-in, even if you're on standard tickets. This isn't just a separate line, but it's its own area with its own check-in desk and typically a lot less of a wait. Sometimes they might also have their own side entrance, so you have a VIP experience. You also get better phone and agent teams and access to Admirals and flagship lounges. Admiral ones are okay, it's about $700 per year, or you get their card. I'd say that those ones are priority pass level. Flagship are the actual business and first class ones. So for example, to access this, you'd normally either need one world status or to be flying long haul international, think Asia or Europe, or coast to coast between major cities and some flights to Hawaii. But yeah, when you think fancy airport lounges, you're probably thinking flagship lounges. For day of travel, there are additional benefits. Main ones include boarding ahead of Group 1, so top of the standard list. If you have a delay or tight connection, then they can also help there. American has a transfer team of Cadillacs, and they would drive you between the two gates. Finally, for upgrades and rewards, the main draw is higher and extra priority for upgrades and top of the list for instrumented upgrades. As you can tell, very much targeted towards super users. If you travel but not that much, then credit cards are also great options. If you only take a few flights a year, then the checked bag perks can definitely add up. If you travel a lot more, then I'd consider their cards with lounge access. Also potentially as tools to spend towards standard status levels. If you're not loyal to a specific airline, then pick one of the flagship bank cards based off your airport. I personally like the credit card lounges a bit better than the baseline Admiral Club level lounges, since you have better food and often less crowding, surprisingly. But yeah, your mileage may vary depending on airport and when you travel. For SFO, United Clubs are a mess. If you are debating any of these cards and you want to run the numbers, we do have a ton of calculators that should pop up if you search card name worth it Ask Sabby on Google. On that note, if you want to learn more about cards, whether these ones or pretty much any other cards out there, and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website asksabby.com and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Heading over to United Airlines, their secret status is called Global Services. Their standard levels go up to Premier 1K, where you would need 60 flights and 22K spent on flights, or 28K spent on flights. Earning it with their credit cards is pretty brutal at about 420K in spend. Unlike American, United doesn't seem to care about your card spend. The focus is very much on United operated revenue flights. For Global Services, you're looking at 50K to 70K on United premium cabin spend. I haven't heard of United having a lower threshold for an influencer, so it doesn't seem like that's a thing. For corporate planners and bookers, the number that I've often seen thrown out is 4 to 5 million. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a bit lower for tech companies, since they might be trying to lock in future business with you. United is a bit unique in two ways. If you have Global Services, but you didn't meet the threshold this year, then they offer challenges. For example, 18K in spend on United flights in 90 days. Normally they're looking at travel that actually happens rather than just booked, since you can cancel otherwise. 18K divided by 90 times 365 is 73K. So annualizing it, we kind of get an idea of what they're looking for. The other unique benefit is that you can actually get Global Services as a permanent perk. If you hit 4 million lifetime miles, you get Global Services pretty much forever. For lifetime miles, United counts BIS, button seat, so that is a lot of flying. For example, if you were to fly San Francisco to New York, you're looking at almost 800 round-trip flights to hit 4 million. From SFO to Shanghai, you're looking at 290 round-trip flights. Unless you're a consultant flying coast to coast, or you're one of those engineers going to Shanghai every 2 weeks, which I guess would be 24 round trips a year, then 4 million lifetime is a very ambitious mark. But yeah, technically still an option. Benefits include being on the top of the upgrade list, better upgrade and award inventory, dedicated phone team, better pre-boarding and check-in, and also Clear Plus. For the last one, a lot of other cards have it though, so not that big of a deal. For their tarmac team, they have Jaguars for delays and tight connections. You also get more protections and better inventory, and they're generally happier to waive fees. It's not apples to apples, but I'd argue that Concierge Key is better than Global Services. With Concierge Key, you have lounge access, even if you otherwise don't have access. For Global Services, it follows standard lounge rules. For example, for United Clubs, you'd either need a membership, or you'd have to have the right card, or fly the right flights. For example, transcontinental or long-haul international for access, short-haul, let's say SFO to LAX, would not work here. United wins on the lifetime side though, so it might be a better investment. Last up, we have Delta Airlines. Their version is called Delta 360. For their standard levels, it goes all the way up to Diamond, which is 28K in spend on Delta flights. Getting Diamond of credit card spend, accounting for the MQD head start, you're looking at about 255K in spend. Like United, Delta doesn't seem to care about your credit card spend, it's about Delta flights. Compared to the other options, the spend requirements here tend to be a lot higher, from 60K to 100K, and potentially a lot more, depending on airport. So pretty much the top 0.001 of flyers for that airline for that airport. Think of it as them only having so many roster spots and them wanting to invite the best performers. For some airports, 60K might not even move the needle. For bigger airports, you're looking at 100K plus. For super hubs, I've heard north of 200K, but I think it also depends. For example, for New York, 125K to 150K doesn't do it, but 300K to 400K does. The reason the numbers here are so much higher compared to the other ones is population size. These are estimates, but you're looking at about 10K to 20K active members for Concierge Key, about 8K to 12K for Global Services, and 5K to 10K for Delta 360. Less spots means a higher bar. From the sounds of it, Delta is very much whale hunting. Similar to United, you can actually get an annual invite with lifetime status, but here it's 5 million, so 25% more than the 4 million for United. From my understanding, unlike United, where Global Services is for you and a companion, here it's only for you for 360, and your companion would get Delta Diamond. Perks-wise, you get better servicing, and you're higher up on the rebooking list, and you're also exempt from the 3-hour Sky Club rule. If you need to camp out there to do some work, then it could be useful. They also have the fanciest vehicles for their tarmac team for transfers, so Porsche 911s and Spyders. Upgrades are a bit weird though. So technically there isn't a separate bucket for 360. For all intents and purposes, you're actually a diamond. Unlike United and American, it's not spelled out, it's not a separate bucket. Agents might be able to see it and pull strings, but algorithmically it doesn't play. In fact, some people complain that it doesn't make a difference. Delta operates off a hierarchy for their upgrades. You can think of this like an algorithm. So first thing they're looking at is medallion status, and then cabin type purchased, and then million-miler status. Below that, there are other factors as well. Okay, so how would 360 lose here? So for number one, you're technically a diamond. So even though you're 360, you might lose to a diamond who bought a more premium ticket type, or a diamond that has higher million-miler status than you. Surprisingly not ideal. Other benefits are less tangible, for example, helping with rebooking or priority access into their lounges when it's busy. Even then, from what I've seen at some lounges, at hubs, it can get tough. So for example, last time we were in Seattle, there was a line for diamonds and another one for 360s. They were prioritizing paid business class, which makes sense. Speaking of lounges, 360 doesn't directly include it, so you would need to select it either as a choice benefit or have access with a card or buy membership. Boarding-wise, you're also in Zone 2 along with other diamonds. I'm not a 360, I'm just a lowly diamond, but I do feel like 360 should be a bit better, it just doesn't seem fair. Especially when you consider that the bar is so much higher. Overall, I think if you're flying anyways, then American and United are the easiest and might be worth chasing. For perks, I'd probably say American wins with the lounge access. If you are looking long-term at lifetime status, then it's United and Delta. For normal people who aren't spending $50K to $100K on flights per year, then points and miles are your best bet to get that upgraded experience and the travel benefits. Or in the low end to get your checked bag fees waived. Again, if you want to learn more about cards, we have links on the website, asksabby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a key emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions: what are your thoughts on these programs, and which one do you think is the best? Number 2, what's your main airline? And number 3, what are your thoughts on lifetime status? How do you think about it? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.